Welcome everyone. I'm here in Lisbon at the Airspace World 2025 and I'm opening actually my Dronetalks show with one of the most important guests here who I'm talking to from CANSO, Michelle, who is a director of programs at CANSO. Maybe someone doesn't know you, a few words about you.
Yeah, welcome to Airspace World. We're delighted to have you here. Yes, my name is Michelle Bishop. I am the director of the global program activities of CANSO, the Civil Air Navigation Services Organization, and the host of the event here in Lisbon, the 3-day Airspace World, bringing together the ATM community, the ANSPs, suppliers, new entrants, for a really dynamic conversation over the course of the week about where we are and the challenges we're facing today, and some of the challenges that are coming our way. So it's been a great week, and welcome.
Thanks. So I think the hottest topic today, this new ConOps, was just recently published. So if someone haven't read yet the document, just in a main, points, what the ConOps covered.
Absolutely. A couple of years ago, we brought together a body called the Complete Air Traffic System Global Council, or the CATS Global Council for short. And it's a really broad coalition of industry that came together first to develop a vision for future airspace in which we would all be aligned and we would all agree what are the service needs we need in the future, what is airspace going to look like in order to meet those needs. And what the concept of operations is, or ConOps, as you mentioned it, is really the how we're going to get there. The vision was the what, and the ConOps is the how. It was a labor of love of a lot of people who came together to really map out what that needs to look like, what are the detailed phases of the transformations, and it really is a complete transformation that ATM needs to go through in order to meet future needs, both the needs of traditional aviation, where traffic is growing and forecast to double, as well as the growth of the many, many new entrants that are coming into our system, and a diversity of airspace users, a diversity of capabilities, and how we continue to maintain safety and efficiency in the skies with those sorts of challenges.
That's $1 million question. You're talking about safety and efficiency on the skies, but we need to integrate these eVTOL drone companies. So what the ConOps view on that, how we can do that?
Absolutely. And a lot of the answer is technology and collaboration. It really is. The CATS ConOps describes early phases of advanced digitalization. The new entrants coming into the system will have, in some ways, a lot higher capabilities than the traditional entrants that are there right now. And we need to leverage those capabilities in order to manage that density safely. So people are very familiar with urban air mobility. We're very familiar with unmanned traffic management systems, and sort of how we see that evolution happening and how we see leveraging digitization to optimize the system for all users.
Exactly, and I think that's a question. What do you think when this digitalization can happen, or what's the timeline of this ConOps?
Yeah,
just in a nutshell, because everyone want to know when.
Right? Absolutely. And the digitization is happening now and will be over the next 7 to 10 years. The aviation industry has set goals around what has been called trajectory-based operations, which is a new, more UTM-like approach to controlled airspace, in which we will plan, gate to gate, the full trajectory of an aircraft and deconflict that from all others in the sky. But we need some backbone of digitization and information sharing across the system in order to do that. But we will see an integration of, UTM airspace with controlled airspace and with higher airspace operations. And really that's the path that's driving all of us forward. In the near term, where there's talk about corridors for urban air mobility and segregated airspace, a lot segregated airspace for drones. We all are really committed to the belief that that's going to be necessary in the near term, but it's unlikely to be sustainable in the long term. If we continue to cut up our airspace into smaller parcels for this user and smaller parcels for that user, we don't have fairness and equity of access to the airspace as a whole, and we sub-optimize the entire system. So we've got to have digitization across the airspace so that we can enable safety of access to all airspaces.
And what are those challenges what we need to face to get there? Because, I'm sure it's not that easy, we're just designing this digital airspace and we're hardly using it.
We have over 190 navigation service providers in the world, and that modernization pathway from everyone is a real challenge. We need interoperability, but there will be slightly different paces of change. I think that's to be expected. So setting that clear path that everyone will follow is critically important to getting to the right place at the end. And that's part of what the CATS ConOps will do, is it really lays out in detail that full picture of where we're trying to go and the steps, that transformations that we think are necessary to get there. And some of them are really basic things. There's 18 transformations described in the document, some of which are really foundational elements, and some of which will really transform the service offering. And they are things like digitization, but they are also some really simple things like changing the use of magnetic north to true north. That's something that we need to get done as an industry if we're going to get to integration of all users. It is unlikely that drones and urban air mobility are going to navigate based on magnetic north. And if we're going to integrate all users, we all need to be navigating based on the same basis. So there's some foundational transformations that we want to drive in a cohesive way globally.
But this is, to me, crazy. It seems like the small drones driving like a whole transformation of the aviation industry, right? Like 10 years ago, someone says us, the toys what you could buy at any corner shop, we've transformed the whole aviation industry. It really is,
really exciting ways. And when you look and you hear the inspirational stories of the use cases that exist for drones, and how we will do, organ transplants in cities, and how we will reach remote communities with supplies and vaccines. Those are things we as an industry responsible for airspace management want to enable. We heard inspirational stories earlier in the week about higher airspace operations, the vehicles that will fly above traditional aviation in the upper echelons of the atmosphere, and the really exciting applications in that airspace that are going to make meaningful impact on the world, and we want to enable that. And it will drive. And there are, advancements in UTM that will make their way into traditional airspace. There are ways of automating and flowing the traffic that will happen in the drone space that will then make it into conventional airspace as well.
And
it's exciting.
There is this hot topic AI, right? Everywhere we cannot do nothing anymore, seeing AI. So what do you think, is there a part in ConOps about AI?
Yes, very much.
And so what the ConOps says?
Yeah, the air traffic management industry is using AI today in very specific applications. There are a number of ANSPs here who have digital twins, where they manage their operation using tests and digital twins, and flow control during storms based on intelligence they gain from that digital twins. But we do think we will see enhanced levels of automation and AI-supported automation in air traffic management more generally. And that's laid out in phase 2 of the ConOps. So phase 1 is a lot of that digitization and enabling technologies. And phase 2 really is a transformation of automation that will change the role of humans in the system in exciting ways.
No, I do believe it, and it's going to be easier for humans as well to work, and it's going to be a relief, hopefully,
Yeah.
So if I would want to go to 2045,
yes,
what do you see going to happen in 2045?
We really see a significant change in the airspace. There will be massive growth in traditional commercial aviation, but what we still today call new entrants, and we need to stop calling them new entrants, will outnumber the traditional vehicles in the sky. And we will have a more dynamic and integrated airspace that provides a freedom of access and a safe access for all users. There will be, high altitude platforms transitioning through the airspace safely. We're seeing significant growth in commercial space. And this year, even just in the United States, there will be over 200 commercial space launches. We're going to change how we integrate some of those users into the system too. and reduce the impacts on traditional aviation that are being felt today every time there's a commercial space launch. Airspace will be an exciting place to be, and a really dynamic place serving connectivity of the public and meeting those needs.
So, our audience are mostly drone company CEOs and eVTOL companies. So if you could suggest something to those people, what would it be? Of course, they need to read the ConOps, but how can they be more active part of this digitalization?
Absolutely. I would encourage you to engage with the ConOps and see what is planned there. We welcome feedback on there. This is very much going to be an ongoing process and a living document. You can read the ConOps on futureskyvision.com, but please engage with us and reach out. We're interested in your thoughts. And know that we are motivated as a community to try to make sure that the skies are ready. We know the change is coming. We're excited by it. And everyone's trying to work towards making sure we can provide equity of access and fair access to support all of the exciting applications in our skies.